Welcome to week 1 of World History class, into the actual learning of it now. So hopefully you didn't just skip past the introduction thinking like, this guy's going to be lame. I'm not going to watch this at all, because there was an assignment at the end of it. So go back and check that out. I really do meaningfully wish for you to write out your goals for the year. I know that a lot of people in life are disappointed with the situation right now, whether it's with distance learning or being home or not being able to go out and have fun. I understand. The one thing that you can do is take advantage of the time and the hours you have near a computer or books or the internet and use it to progress and propel yourself forward past all the people who are just going to play video games and be on Instagram the whole time. I sincerely mean that. I know it's not something that, like in high school, you think about a lot, but every day that you act or don't act affects who the person in the future is that's looking to make money or salary or be happy or find contentment. So as far as world history goes, the people who we study, they pretty much worked every day to make an impact, whether that's positive or negative. Those are the people that we learn about. So my goal for you is to set goals for yourself, and I'm serious. You'll be further ahead than other people your age. You're going to need to compete for a job one day, and the way the job market's looking like it's going to turn out, you might want to compete and get ready. And I don't mean that in a cynical way. I mean you could really get into a better version of yourself during this time. So I mean that sincerely. Let's focus on world history. Let's dive in. Let's have a good time. So the focus question for all of world history, like the entire year, is this: how has power shifted through modern history, and what are the responses? That's our year-long question. How does power shift from country to country, person to person, continent to continent? And why does that matter? I think it's pretty obvious why it matters, because we are subject to the power of others all the time. We are at home right now because of the power of government or the power of governments and how they affect world history. So today, I want you to understand how historians study world history, the criteria for that, how I'm going to judge that. We need to understand what SPICE is. It's an acronym, and I'm going to go through all of it. But if you're taking notes, you definitely want to get SPICE down, and you want to be able to understand like how we can use the elements, the 5 elements of SPICE, to describe a place. It's going to make more sense in a little while. But the successful goal is, can you define how we analyze history? And that every world history teacher is going to do that. You just get lucky enough to get it in a video format, which hopefully will save you a little time. All right. So what I'd like you to do for today is complete 3 things that you learned, 2 things that you found interesting, and 1 thing you want to know more about. I have a journal packet that I may or may not be sending out to you, but in your notes, I want you to account for that. You can email that to me at the end at haugerd@luhsd.net, and you will receive points for the day. So if you need to write that down now, jot it down. 3 things that you learned, 2 things that were interesting, and 1 thing you want to know more about. And if you want to guarantee yourself full points, your notes, that total, should be at least 1/2 of 1 page. All right? 1/2 of 1 page. And that will account for your quiz. Conversely, you could just answer the quiz at the end, and I will give you points for that. So you can choose to do either 1/2 page of total notes, 3, 2, 1, or quiz at the end. Okay? One of those things, just one, will do for credit. First of all, I want to tell you that I am hoping that I'm going to have an impact on you as your teacher this year in world history. I really am. I know you're sophomores, but man, this is when you really start being an adult and being able to make an impact. To prove that, I opened my wallet. Something I don't like to do a lot, but I did it. For every student I have, which is 3 world history classes, I donated $1 per student. $1 for you came out of my wallet and went to Charity Water, because today we give life. Today, our class is actually going to give clean, sustainable drinking water to a third world nation and help people not have to walk all day to get dirty water or die from a disease. It gives dedicated water to people. This is my 45th donation, and it's made quite an impact in many different countries. It's so cool. If you want to know more, it's not really standards based, so I'm not going to sit and make you watch these videos, but you can watch Scott Harrison, the founder of Charity Water, talk, or just YouTube, who is Charity Water, and it's meaningful. If we were in the classroom, we would watch them. They've just done an amazing job providing water for people. And kids all over the world, younger than you, have made huge impacts donating and helping people all over the world.
Keep my money, or should I give some away?
It's really impactful. So far, they've raised over water projects, 38,000 different projects, and 37 different partnerships in 27 countries of the world, and 9.6 million people have permanent access to clean water. It's real. It's awesome, and 100% of donations go to the charity. I did that for you. I just want to show you that even $1 for each student can make a difference, because it costs about $25 to dig a well in each country, and they get donors to go and do that. So that's pretty rad. Congratulations for helping me do that. Because water is the most important asset in the world. Clean drinking water is everything. It's farming, it's agriculture. We can go up to 2 weeks as humans without food, but we can't last more than 3 days without water. Water is essential to life and all 5 themes of spice. And the earliest civilizations that we study together in world history formed in river valleys. That's right, the earliest civilizations that did more than just live and die and hunt and gather, the ones that actually formed meaningful civilizations that we study today, they all needed to find themselves near water. See how I hooked it in, made it relevant? Kind of cool. I know, I get excited about stuff like this, and I'm kind of a nerd, but I live with that. I'm fine with that. And I also wanted to tell you that I know there's a lot of negativity in the world right now, but if you believe that you could change the world, or you can be the good that changes things, that's why I do that $1 donation, even though it costs me $34 a class. I think it's worth it. The thing is, if you're looking and listening right now and you're like, nah, dude, you can't. A lot of people just don't. They might choose not to, and if you believe you can't, you definitely won't try. So I'm telling you, I believe in you, and I want you to believe in yourself. Let's study. Let's learn. So the first chapter is about an age of global revolutions. Welcome to my history class. The learning goal today is I will understand how scholars study history and the 5 themes of history. And here we go. If you want to join the Remind app, in case we actually go back to the physical classroom, you can join Remind and join the Hauger code to get you into world history class. So check this out. In world revolutions, countries rise and countries fall. It happens in sports too. I grew up a huge Sacramento Kings fan, and you are probably, or maybe not, as of a few years ago, you bandwagoners, fans of the Golden State Warriors. What happens is countries and dynasties, they gather resources, they gain strength, they make trades, they make money, they win battles, and ultimately they end up losing the assets, whether by challenge or by age or by unfortune or injuries. They lose control. The Kings team you see on the right won the West 7 out of 8 years, won 60 games in 8 straight years, and was number 1 in the conference, even though they never won any championships most of those years. They had a team of some good shooters and scorers, but they played team ball. They led the league in assists. You got Chris Webber in there, who should be a Hall of Famer one day. And they never had the assets that the Warriors did. But you could tell as a Warriors fan, this might not be your year if they even play basketball at the end of July like they're supposed to. But you could tell when injuries happen to Curry or Thompson, suddenly the depth is gone. And when Iguodala moves on, suddenly you don't have an MVP 6th man. There's changing of the guard happening frequently. So here you go. We made it to the spice, the 5 themes. I need you to copy down this list and leave space to define each. SPICE, social, political, interaction with the environment, cultural, and economic. And yes, we will use these all year long. So it's not one of those things, and I'll tell you if it happens where you could forget about this. We're not going to use this often. Every world history teacher at Heritage wants you to understand these 5 themes. So historians do use them. You'll see a mischange or change up of terms, but we will be using these all year long. So write them down, pause the video if you need it, and we'll move on. Anywhere you see this hint ticket means I'm going to test you on it. So as we go further in distance learning, we'll see if there's going to be tests and what they're going to look like. But the points where I have tried to make emphasis that this is the kind of the key information, the things that we want you to learn as teachers, I put this hint ticket next to almost every one of them. So that should be extremely helpful to you. Clue into those hint tickets and take a hint that that's important information. So S, the social element of spice. When historians look at history, they look at social aspects. That's a lot of different stuff. If I asked you what society was like, we could talk for the whole hour and a half. I'm sure we could. And here are the key aspects of social life. Class structures, social mobility and barriers, like how easy is it for people to rise up in society? That's a great conversation to have later. If we get into a classroom, we should totally debate that. Gender roles and relationships. So how does society treat people and their gender roles? And you could tell that would be very different in California than in Texas or in Missouri or in Florida or almost any state. How are families and kinships defined? Racial and ethnic constructs, Hey, has that been important over the summer break? That is like funny and not funny, right? That has totally taken shape and taken form and is affecting our world history. Urbanization, like how many people live in cities, and how are people's freedoms and rights. Again, this stuff matters and it becomes extremely important. If you want to talk about that, you can send me a comment. And I might even give you extra credit for doing that. HaugerD@luhsd.net. Here's an example. Let's take California as a place, which it is, and let's spice California. We are progressive on civil rights, even though we are more conservative inland and more conservative in Orange County and some counties. But we are mostly progressive on civil rights. We have a diverse cultural heritage. We have urban and suburban areas, and we also have deserts. But we also have homelessness problem, even though we have great wealth in some of the richest places in the world. We got Silicon Valley pumping out millionaires and billionaires with tech startups. But we also have people right outside that are struggling. And a great example to look at this, I used to live in Orange County, is downtown Disney. They bus out the homeless. You can't be homeless in downtown Disney. They won't allow it. They don't want people buying churros and mouse ears to see homeless people. But there's a tremendous amount of homeless people in Anaheim and in Los Angeles, outside of some of the most wealthy businesses in the world. And as far as urbanization goes, 90% live in or close to cities. You could spice California all day long and talk about social, because I believe, as someone who's lived here my whole life, it's a really interesting place, and it's a wonderful place, although it has some struggles, right? There's some pictures of downtown Disney on the left. There's some pictures of Skid Row and downtown Los Angeles on the right. Quite different, right? Quite different. And yet somehow we're talking about almost the same place. Here's chapter 1.5 a day, actually a couple slides. The themes of world history are important because this is what historians use to study every place, whether it's ancient Babylon or modern Brentwood, California. We've got a ton of different social elements. I'm going to keep talking about the S in spice. That's what I'm doing right now. So if you're wondering what I'm blabbing about. We have 15 million Hispanic people. 39% are white. 39% are non-white. Beach communities, we've got surfers, we got farmers. They're a unique social group in California. You got outdoor activities, you got hikers, you got baseball players. We produce more pros than any other state. We got rhyme-producing social clubs, hunters, gamblers, makers, tech developers, farmers. Did I say farmers? I did. Yeah, it's up there. Historically, there have always been different cultures and classes that have been scapegoated. But California has a lot of different cultural identities. That said, it hasn't always been progressive. In World War II, if you were Japanese, we put you in internment camps and made you go off and live somewhere else and took your business away. That happened here. That happened in Brentwood. That happened in Tracy. That happened in Stockton. It's kind of crazy. And the lapses in equality in the past, as you can see now over summer, are still causing the modern world to have flare-ups of inequality and expectations of differences. It's just one of the examples how the past affects the present and affects the future. Man, that is so important. Let's move on to P. And I don't mean like we have to take a break. That's such a bad joke, dude. And I know, like right now I could go back and edit that out, but I need those laughter points in order to stay happy and joyful. We have to teach some heavy stuff this year, guys. Political. When we talk about the P in spice, it's the political aspects. That could be government. It could be leadership, nations or nationalism, like how much pride a country has. It could be revolts or revolutions. It could be civil rights movements. It could be conflict or war, legal systems, or regional structures and organizations like city council. So let's use California as an example again. Okay, Mr. Hauger, sounds good. Some of you were like, dude, where do I skip to just get to the quiz? California politically, it's more liberal when you move more to the coast. It gets more blue. It's more conservative inland. It's more red. There are more Republicans inland. Doesn't mean that there aren't Republicans on the coast. Check out Huntington Beach and the protests that were happening early in the year. Well, they both intermix, but generally speaking, that's what you have. Sacramento's our capital. Wasn't always our capital. Do you know Benicia was our capital for a little while? Could you imagine the state building being in Benicia, north of Martinez? Some of you are like, what's Benicia? Other of you are like, why is he so excited? I like the intro unit. I don't know why. It's just fun. And we also have some water conflicts. Like there's in Brentwood, you often see the signs saying yes or no to vote on tunnels to Southern California from the Northern California Delta. It's a big conversation. It's one of our arguments. We have a lot of different things that we argue about. Are we ever going to get the bullet train that goes all the way to LA? I don't know. We will see. We're over budget and under-delivered on that. Another thing that you might note politically, we have 2 senators. They are Kamala Harris. She tried to run for president. She was not successful. She's been our senator since 2017. And then check this out, dude. This is kind of cool. I like when I don't feel old. And Dianne Feinstein has been our senator since 1992. So she was a senator when I was in high school. She was a senator for California when I was in kindergarten. So I kind of like feeling relevant, and Dianne Feinstein lets me do that. So I think she's like in her 80s now. California's a blue state and it always has been. No, it hasn't. Actually, aside from 1964, California was a pretty Republican area in every election up until 1992 when Bill Clinton turned that around. Just giving you more information, just trying to make this more interesting than just being dry slides. 100 years ago, there was a president who I find interesting politically. His name was Warren G. Harding, not the rapper. I don't think they're related. Some of you get that joke. I don't think Warren G. is relevant. Is Warren G. relevant anymore? He ran on a platform of placing tariffs on foreign nations, like China, so taxing foreign goods, tightening the Mexican border, reducing immigration, and returning to American greatness. I wonder if history repeats itself. One of many times this year, we'll say that. How about number I? Did I say number I? Dude, we've only been going for like 20 minutes and I made a plethora of fun mistakes. I is how we interact with the environment. Could be talking about disease, demography, migration of people, natural resources, have a ton of that in Cal, settlement patterns, natural barriers, flora, fauna, that's animals or plants, and tech. California, we interact with the environment. We have coastal cleanup because we have pollution issues right now. We have urban development. Check out Oakland and San Francisco, how overcrowded the cities are going to be and how people are getting priced out and moving to cities like, what's one of the cities people are moving to? Oh yeah, Brentwood. Yeah, you've multiplied your population from 12,000 in 2000 to over 63,000 now. 20 years, man, and you've gone 5 times bigger. So that's some ways we can look at the interaction with the environment. If we're doing a chat later, we can talk more about other ways that we interact, like building freeways, building houses, protecting or not protecting wildlife refuge, or building oil. I mean, all that stuff interacts. We built our first industrial factories in 1800s. Those are some of the last days of clean air in all American cities. And so we have an effect on the environment. It doesn't mean that it's good or bad. I mean, it's affected a lot of business. We can drive a car now. Although right now we're not going anywhere, are we? Anyway, let's move on to the C in cultural. Yeah, in culture, we talk about religion, beliefs, ideology. We might talk about heritage. High school, get it? Fun. Language, writing, art and architecture, clothing, food, music, education, science, nationalism. All those things could be an idea. We could talk about California being progressive or having a history of legal cases that have opened doors for minorities, or that how we like to wear shorts and t-shirts because of the weather that we have here. It's like a California thing. Or we could talk about progressive rights, or what else? If we were in class, we would do a turn and talk. And then finally, the E is for economic. How is our economy? So strong. So many things. Agriculture, technology, manufacturing. We do a lot in our state, that's for sure. We could talk about all of these elements. All right. Fun. So let's move on because we're taking a while there, but it's really the opening couple chapters. We're doing this in 20 minutes instead of 2 hours. You're welcome. We'll save time later to do more fun things. Hopefully watch a couple movies in class too. But I'm got to cover all these bases, and I think I can do it in a more interesting way than the textbook can. Yeah, so anyway, that's it. This open note quiz should be really easy. Question number 1. What is an example of social aspects that historians might study? What are some of those bullet points under social for spice? How do historians interpret a place under social aspects? There are about 8 on the screen. If you need to pause and go back in the video, you can do that. What are 2? Give me 2. All right. Good. Oh, I wonder what would happen if I just left the screen up. All right. So, question 2. Who are 2 of our senators in the state of California? Again, if you need to go back and find that answer, or if you just want to submit a general half page of notes, then you're already done with the quiz. We'll make it one more question then. Question 3. How does a country's economy affect the country overall? So look at these items under economic impacts, and let me know what are 2 ways that a country's economic status or level will affect it. How will it be affected by its economy? What are some ways that can manage? And think about that we're all here distance learning right now. What that does for all of our families and businesses, if you want an example or a hint. Right. Okay, so you should have 3 things you learned, 2 things that were interesting, and 1 question that you still have or you didn't understand from what I was talking, rambling, maybe speaking too fast. And that's it for week 1. And again, please go back and watch my introduction of who I am as your teacher. That really goes a long way in preserving class culture and community, and it'll help us understand each other a lot more when we get into a physical classroom. All right, that's it for me. Mr. Hauger, wishing you all the best. Thanks for your focus and your attention during this video. And if you have any questions, email me, haugerd@luhsd.net. Turn in your homework and have a great week. We'll see you next time, and good luck with all your other classes. Mr. Hauger signing off. See you guys.